Happy New Year, everyone! Woo! Welcome to another episode of the Conn'Cast podcast. I am your host, Finn Tumb, as always, and it is very cold in here. I don't know if you can see the condensation come off the mic as I said that. It is freezing in the studio, but yes, Happy New Year, as I said, and I hope everyone had a great New Year's Eve and hopefully an even better 2025. Just on a personal note, this is obviously the first podcast we've done this year, and wow, I cannot believe the Conn'Cast is still going to this day. Not that I didn't expect it to, but just to think that I myself, along with obviously Cameron's been helping me a lot. We started this in 2024 in August. I just didn't think about the longevity of it, and I'm just so proud of us and you, because this podcast would not be going on right now if it wasn't for you guys watching week in, week out. So thank you so much for your support. And I'm also very grateful that you are all still here with us today. You know, it's 2024. For some people, it was a really good year. For me, it's a bit up and down. But if you're watching or listening to this right now, I am so proud that you're still here, because for some people, 2024 was a very difficult year. And I'm just so glad that you're here. So thank you for persevering. And like I said, here's to a much better 2025, or an even better one. If 2024 was good for you already, it would be amazing for all of us. So talking about the topic of New Year leads us on quite nicely to what this episode's actually about. So as you can tell, I haven't got a guest today. It's just me and you. And I thought, being the first one of 2025, it'd be quite a good opportunity to speak about New Year. And the thing I want to drill down on is the whole New Year, New Me malarkey, right? And why I personally think it's a load of crap, to put it mildly. It's a phrase that gets chucked around every year. It's something that's been drilled into us ever since, I was born. It's been a thing that's really ingrained in our society. And it's something that I just don't personally agree with. For some of you, it could be New Year, same me, which is what it is for me. And I kind of want to just talk about this episode, why I feel you should really embrace who you are and not try to reinvent yourself with New Year, New Me stuff, and why it's okay to be you, and why it's so important to actually, in my opinion, it's better to just be you, in my opinion. And before we get into this episode, just as a note, this is just my opinion. You may not agree with it, and that's fine. Just pick apart this episode, take what you will, and hopefully what I've got to say helps you going forward. So without further ado, I'm going to break this episode down into 3 parts for you guys. The first section will be being about the pressure of New Year's resolutions, which we've just obviously touched on in this intro. The second part will be then to talk about the importance of self-love and why that's especially important around this time of year, being New Year, looking ahead to 2025. And the third part being how to set sustainable and realistic goals, or aims, I think is a better way of wording it, which again, I'll explain on it when we go down into that part of the episode. So to begin with, the pressure of New Year's resolutions. So again, this is my opinion, but as I just said, New Year's resolutions really get shoved down our throats every year by whether it's friends and family, whether it's yourself, or it's just society in general. It does get drilled down onto us, and it's all about trying to reinvent yourself. It feels like trying to be a better person, trying to make yourself better for other people, whatever it is. That's kind of what New Year's resolutions are like. And realistically, I think it's also been fueled more recently by social media. I feel like more recent times, especially literally today is the 2nd of January. The past few days, my Instagram, Facebook has just been flooded with loads of New Year's resolution stuff. A lot of it is trying to be good, but a lot of the accounts and a lot of the posts, it's just a bit toxic because it's just unrealistic. You need to do this, you need to be better, you need to go and do a bloody marathon in a month, that's an extreme example, but that's kind of how I feel. Social media has really, really changed the perspective and the narrative, should I say, on New Year's resolutions. And we don't really have any control over social media as well. And that's like the news as well. If you're watching the news, it's very similar. It's all these sorts of different medias come together. Well, you can't control the algorithm, and anything can come up and get shoved down your throat. So I feel like that hasn't been great for me the past few days. Hearing I need to do this, I need to do that. And also, this is not a slating session, by the way. I do love social media, but also businesses do profit from New Year's resolutions. Not only do they profit from the festive period around Christmas time, but you will probably find that a lot of businesses will do lots of offers in January, especially around things that are normally New Year's resolutions. So I think a big example of that would be your local gym. It's pretty much inevitable that there'll be a local gym nearby to you that will drop prices and go, don't pay anything till February, join now, because they know that it's such a money grabber, New Year's resolutions for gym. Not saying you shouldn't go for it, but it's just kind of just really drilling down as to what these New Year's resolutions, what happens basically. So that's something to be mindful of. So it's not only is it social media and other people, but it's also businesses trying to drill down New Year's resolutions to you. And to be honest with you, I said earlier about how it's sometimes people in your family, your friends and family, but realistically, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have any of that on me personally. My friends and family, they don't even talk about New Year's resolutions. We kind of just go through it. But it's very much social media for me. And it's this sort of social construct that we must improve ourselves. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments about that, because I'm quite interested to hear what you guys think as well, because this is just what I think. And I also did a little bit of research. I was interested actually to see about New Year's resolutions and how many people actually stick to their New Year's resolutions. And I found this online on Forbes.com, and they did some research. I don't know how many people they researched, but all I know is that in this sort of survey, only 9% of people said that they actually followed through with their New Year's resolutions. And I was like, wow. I mean, I thought it'd be a bit higher, but 9%. I was like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that's what it is apparently. And then these things also have a massive impact on your mental health as well. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, burnout, anxiety, especially burnout, especially if it's something to do with like the gym, or it's like a really high bar, unrealistic goal that you're setting for yourself. That can really lead to burnout. And like I said, with self-confidence and self-esteem, if you give yourself a target, and you don't meet it, that can lead to lack of confidence. So mental health comes massively at play when it comes to New Year's resolutions. And I feel like there needs to be some sort of reframing with the whole ideology behind New Year's resolutions. And I think to begin with, the whole idea of this episode it doesn't have to be New Year, new me. It can be New Year, same me, or same you. And that's okay. If anything, like I said, I think that's even better. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to make radical changes to your life in order for New Year's. You can just do gradual changes just for growth, just, little incremental changes. If you really want to change in New Year, just little baby steps towards a greater goal. And here's an example of what I mean by that. So say you want to do a New Year's resolution of going to the gym. I've said it already like 5 or 6 times in this episode, but let's just say you want to go to the gym and you say, right, I'm going to have a body like Chris Bumstead by June this year. I'm going to go mental. I've never been to the gym before, but I'm just going to go crazy with it. I mean, good on you. Like it could work. But just like I said, being realistic with your goals. If you do want to try and change, New Year, new me malarkey, I would say just try and do it gradually. Maybe just try to commit to the gym for a few days. Maybe look at your diet, try building up your diet if you need to put on more weight, just doing gradual changes. Another example actually is this app. And this isn't a paid promotion or anything. This is just an app that I tried once before. It was a habit tracker called Fabulous, I'm pretty sure. And it's supposed to be an app for neurodivergent people with ADHD, etc. I didn't last long on it. I think I signed up like a free trial. It lasted 3 days, and that's just because I failed. Even I've got a lack of attention, but that was crazy for me. But basically, the app was a habit tracker, which for the first 3 days, it just got you to just drink water. There was just one habit once a day, and it was just when you wake up, drink water. That's all it was. And then you tick that, and then that was you done for the day. And I was like, what the hell was that about? But then I think looking back now, I realise after obviously doing my research for this episode, what that actually meant. I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to build small incremental changes to your daily life instead of just going all at once, going ham on this new goal, just bit by bit, just drink water. And then maybe the next day, make your bed. If that's not something that you usually do, make your bed. And the next day it might be, I'm trying to think, make yourself a really good breakfast, just little changes. And then bit by bit, that 1% better every day, it can really lead to a massive change in your life. But doing too much at once, it can lead to burnout. So I would advise against it. Again, you guys do you. But I thought that would be quite a little nice introduction to the pressure of New Year's resolutions and how you can overcome those. And also to add, the whole idea of this is growing. You don't need to change yourself because you are perfect the way you are. You are amazing the way you are. It's just if you want to grow and you want to change something in your life and a New Year's resolution, just do a little change and just make sure you're moving in a direction that matters to you for yourself, not someone else. Okay. Now that leads us on to the second section of this episode, the importance of self-love. Now, I think a lot of you might be sitting there thinking, you hear the phrase self-love being thrown around all the time. It's a very big thing on just everywhere in our lives. Self-love, self-compassion, everything. What does that actually mean? And I struggled with actually understanding what it meant for quite a while, but I think the way that I would word it personally for myself and what's worked for me, and this is something that I learned this year, is I'm going to sum up in one word and define it in one word. Not one word. I'm going to do it in a sentence, sorry. So self-love is treating yourself the way that you treat your loved ones. It's as simple as that. When you speak to your loved ones, you give them love, don't you? You give them compassion, affection. You speak of them highly. You don't bring them down. If they want to do something, you give them support. You encourage them, right? And if you do that for yourself, if you do that for them, why wouldn't you do that for yourself? Self-love is also doing all the things that you enjoy for yourself. Whether that's, Cameron summed it up perfectly in the festive special. It's like doing anything that you enjoy, regardless of what anyone thinks. So whether that's, playing PlayStation all day, going for like a nice walk, around your favourite place. It could be going for a run if that's your thing, going to the gym. But it's just, binge watching something on Netflix, for example, just anything. It could be anything, whatever you enjoy and what you want to do, but it has to be because you want to do it and not because you're doing something because you think, oh, my loved one, my mum, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my partner, whoever, my brother, they think I should be doing this. It's not that. It's you doing something for yourself and not giving a flying, I don't know why I didn't swear, a flying crap for what anyone else thinks, right? Self-love as well is especially so important around this time of year when things are so uncertain at New Year sometimes for some people. The festive period may not always be a good time for people. It can be quite a depressing time of year. And I feel like when you get to New Year, you really need to give yourself a lot of self-love and self-respect as well, and really just go ahead, just trying your best, basically. It can be quite an overwhelming time, the New Year, and you need to give yourself a lot of self-love. For me personally, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed at the moment. I've got lots of plans. Things are really exciting for me, whether it's with the podcast or Take the Con. Lots of other things going on as well in my personal life. And as much as I'm excited, I'm a bit overwhelmed. And that's why it's so important to give yourself self-love. Really look after yourself during this time. Give yourself lots of compassion. Living in the moment as well. You're making sure that you're not too tied up in the future. That gives you anxiety. Gives me anxiety thinking about it. And just living in the moment and just trying to give those incremental changes, just doing a little bit each day, just to move yourself in the right direction. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. And that's the way I'm kind of dealing with it. So I hope that helps you guys there as well. So how do I give myself self-love? I've defined it. I've told you what self-love is, but you can't just go say, oh, okay, I love myself. You can, but it's not as easy as that sometimes. So a few examples of self-love, which you can incorporate into your everyday life, is simple as positive affirmations. I can do this, right? You look yourself in the mirror and you go, and there's something really scary about to happen. You just say to yourself, I can do this, right? And it's other things as well. It's other phrases. It's like you might say to yourself, I failed. But what you should really be saying is, what have I learned from this experience? What can I do differently next time? I'm worth it, not that I'm not worthy. And it's just, positive affirmations for yourself. I mean, funny enough, I'm sitting here right now doing this podcast. Historically, and even before I think this is my second podcast I've done on myself. Before that, the idea of sitting in front of a camera on myself, talking to a camera, felt so unnatural to me. And the amount of anxiety I got for my first episode, and even a little bit on this episode, was unbelievable. I was so scared to do it, but I just went to myself in the mirror and said, look, Finn, you can do this. I am capable. I can record this podcast, right? I am worthy. And there's no such thing as failure, right? I can only try my best, and you guys might not like this, and that's fine. But that's the form of self-love, is that I'm giving myself that love to say I can do this, I am worthy, I can do this podcast, and here I am doing it. Right? It's simple. It's as simple as that. Other things as well. It doesn't have to be just spiritual, like inside. Some people are, can be really unconfident in their own skin, and as tricky as that is to navigate, I feel like trying to accept the way you look is so, so important. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you can accept the way you look, then you are unstoppable, mate. Like, you are unstoppable. It's, look yourself in the mirror and going, beforehand, you might go, oh, my eyes are a bit wonky. My ears are too big. I don't like the way my mouth looks. My jaw's a bit, I don't like my beard or something like that, which obviously I do. But I've had to come to accept that. And it's knowing that you can't change it. But that's fine, because you are your own person. You are unique. You are beautiful. And it's okay to look the way you do, right? And another thing as well with the flaws and what you look at yourself physically, more often than not, the flaws that you see in yourself, no one else sees, right? No one at all, okay? It's all in your head. So you might see something in the mirror and you go, like, oh, I don't like the way I look, or, oh, I don't like the way I look in that photo. But that's the way everyone sees you. And it's the only reason you don't like it is because you're not used to the way you look in that photo, right? So it's fine. You're great the way you are, but self-love is also acceptance for the way you look, the way you feel, and who you are as a person as well, okay? Be proud of who you are, because there's only one you in this world, and that's pretty bloody special. And if you can incorporate these self-love techniques into your everyday life, not only will that set you up for the rest of this year, that will set you up for the rest of your life, man. Honestly, like, that will set you up. You will be literally unstoppable, and it'll help you grow into the person that you want to be. If you can just accept everything about you, just bit by bit, just accepting, saying, I'm enough. I'm telling you you're enough. If you don't think it, I'm telling you you're enough, okay? And you're great the way you are. And that's probably one of the biggest tips I can give you. Self-bloody-love. And that leads us on to the final third part of this episode, which is setting sustainable mental health goals. And this, I actually really like this part, because I think this kind of sums up a lot of what we spoke about already into some bite-sized chunks. So, the first thing I wanted to say is, if you do have New Year's resolutions, I'd really encourage you to try and rephrase how you have set those resolutions in the first place. So you could almost rephrase them to be more intentions, right? Intentional resolutions, or themes even, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to cultivate more gratitude as can't speak today. As a resolution, you want to cultivate more gratitude and more joy, or trying to achieve a better work-life balance, right? You're trying to achieve it, and that's the key word of these intentions. You're trying to cultivate more gratitude. You're trying to create a work-life balance if you can, right? If it's actually possible, you're trying to do it. Maybe trying to set time aside for a bit more journaling or reflection, right? Just these little intentions. Instead of saying, I must achieve this, it's more that I intend to achieve, not to even achieve, I intend to do this, but if I don't manage to cultivate more gratitude, I don't have time for reflection, I don't manage to create a better work-life balance, it is not the end of the world. I think if you try to create these New Year's resolutions as intentions, that it almost sounds more forgiving straight away. If you can just say it with an intention, and not only is it more forgiving, but if you don't achieve it, you'll be more likely not to beat yourself up about it because you're forgiving yourself for not doing it, right? So it's just as simple as just rephrasing what you want to do this year. And like I said earlier with your New Year's resolutions, start small. You don't need to go for radical change straight away, right? You've got so much time in this world, you know. A lot of us listening to this, I mean, everyone is young. I'm just going to say not even a lot of us. Everyone's young, right? We've got time. Just, start slowly. Just love yourself a bit more, okay? Just go a bit slower, build up. And that's the best way to build a habit. It's something to do with like the dopamine. Again, I don't want to get this wrong because I haven't done my research into this, but I feel like if you try to go too hard too quickly, it may tell your brain like, it might start associating this new thing you're trying to build for your New Year's resolutions as a bad negative thing because it's hard. But if you can just like grab your New Year's resolution or your intention, New Year's intention, and you just start small, building up the habit bit by bit, day by day, just adding on more to it each time, just trying to add a bit more, that 1% better every day, you're more likely to achieve your New Year's resolution or your New Year's intention by just building slow. And at the same time, that also gives you a bit more self-love and a bit more compassion because you're being nicer to yourself by not trying to push yourself too far, right? So that's really important as well. Also, it's not a mental health podcast without saying this key bit: look after your mental health, all right? Look after it. And what I mean by that is a New Year's resolution or New Year's intention, should I say, could be just to set aside some time every day, just a bit of mental health time, a bit of reflection. Whether that's, say you're a really busy person and you've only got 10 minutes, it's better than none, mate. It's better than none, right? 10 minutes a day if you need to, if that's all you can do. Half an hour's better. I mean, the more time you can set aside for mental health, the better. And just to share with you guys what I do a bit of meditation, actually. No one actually knows that I meditate, but that's been really good for me the past year. Journaling's really good as well. Unfortunately, I need to be a bit more, I need to stick to that a bit more because I keep on waking up too late and just rolling out of bed and getting breakfast at me. But when I do wake up early, I do like to give myself a bit of mental health time, all right? I think that's a really big thing to do, guys. And I think it just even if you just, for 10 minutes, I mean, it could be as simple as, it's a bit cold now, but I mean, during the summer, I used to go out the back garden. But when I went to the gym in the morning, I used to sometimes get just a cup of tea in the morning, sit outside in the garden and just listen to the birds, watch the sunrise. That was beautiful. And for me, that was very much mental health time. A bit of peace and serenity, just start my day off right with a cuppa. So whatever works for you, definitely set a bit of time aside for your mental health because that is the most important thing possible. So just to conclude on what we spoke about this episode, I have got my phone here because I've got so many recap points. I cannot fit them all in my little head up here. Right. But the main points are to really drill down on is all the malarkey of the New Year, New Me stuff that we spoke about. It's okay to just be you. Resolutions are not a must at all. If you do want to grow in 2025, that's great. Please do. That's not the message of this podcast. I don't want you guys to change. No, if you want to change, you want to grow, I really would love you to. Like, please do. But just know that obviously to do it sustainably, it will take a bit of time. Just adding on a habit each day, trying to grow that bit extra. You will get to where you want to be, and you also be looking after your mental health in the process. Self-love is vital to this whole episode. Whether in the new year, in 2025 onwards, you want to have radical change to your life very quickly, like we said, or you want to go, hopefully, to look after mental health, maybe just the gradual incremental changes, regardless of which path you take, self-love is vital, okay? So I'll definitely take what I said on board with that. I think that's the most important part of this episode. If you want to achieve anything, you got to love yourself first. You can't change the world unless you change yourself, or look after yourself, should I say. As I can tell you right now, if you are listening to this podcast right now, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are amazing just the way you are, okay? You are worthy. And like I said, the fact you're watching this podcast means that you want to, obviously, if you're supporting me and everyone else, I don't know, or you're really interested in trying to help your mental health, you are worthy, okay? So thank you for watching as well. We also live in a world where people trying to love other people or other things, whether that's like a football team or it's a partner. You're trying to fill you're trying to fill a gap with someone else, when really you should be filling that gap in your heart for yourself, right? You can't love someone else until you love yourself, and that's just the truth. So I hope this episode has helped you guys, and also, what are you guys aiming for this year? I would love to know. I mean, I haven't even sorted my own goals for this year yet, or intentions, should I say. But what you're intending to achieve this year, let me know, because I'd honestly love to hear what you guys are up to. And hopefully this episode has helped you hopefully going forward, it will help you try and create these intentions a bit easier. And just on a final note, always remember that the same you is always enough for the new year. You don't need to make radical changes. And actually, being the same you is you committing to yourself, the person that you were and are now and the future. You are committing to your own journey, which is going to be amazing and beautiful. So don't feel like you need to, because it's now the 1st of January, you need to change yourself and completely be a new person. You are great the way you are. And this is just you continuing your journey onto being an even more amazing and beautiful human being. Okay. So always remember that. New year, same me. And that's okay. And on that note, this has been your host, Finn Tumber. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day all week. And we'll see you next Sunday. Until then.